welcome. My name is Jenny Bloom. I am a faculty member at Florida Atlantic University, and I also run the master's degree program in higher education leadership. And right now I also have a half-time position working in the provost's office, but I am the founder of the Office of Appreciative Education at Florida Atlantic University that my colleague Amanda Cuevas is the director of and has worked so hard to pull this event together. So I'm going to hand this over rather quickly to our speaker today, Ben Forshee, but I do have a few items to kind of housekeeping items to mention. If you could keep your microphone on mute, that would be great. We welcome questions, and you can just put the questions into the group chat, and we're going to ask Ben to answer those questions at the end. My colleague Brian Hirsch in the Office of Appreciative Education and I will be kind of asking Ben the questions at the end. So, but feel free to put in those questions at any point throughout the webinar. I also wanted to mention that we are recording this webinar and we will be sending out a link to the actual recording that you are going to be welcome to share with colleagues at your institution that maybe weren't able to attend today. And there will also be a number of handouts. So you will get that link as soon as we are able to make that happen after today's webinar. But we're living in some unprecedented times. I know all of us are feeling anxious and dealing with a lot of uncertainty and really concerned about how we can best serve our students who are also living in very uncertain times and undoubtedly feeling the same kinds of emotions that we're feeling. And that's why we wanted to put this webinar together as an opportunity to share some great suggestions from our friend and colleague Ben Forshee at Ohio University, who has long been a leader in the appreciative advising movement, in particular when it comes to technology, the use of technology in advising situations. And of course, we're all having to learn very quickly how to not only just barely survive using technology, but also to help us and our students thrive as we are engaging in these online discussions. I want to just mention a phrase that has been key for me, staying focused right now and not panicking, is the title of a book by a woman named Marie Forleo, and I highly recommend this book. But the title of the book is Everything is Figure-Outable. And I keep telling myself, Jenny, we're dealing with things that we've not dealt with before, but everything is figure-outable. And to help us figure out how best to use technology in these unsettling times, I am delighted to introduce to you my former student from the University of South Carolina, but also my friend and colleague, Ben Forshee. So Ben, thank you so much for agreeing to do this webinar today.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with everyone today, and thank you all for taking the time to come here and learn and grow together. We are certainly in that uncertain times, and I think whether you're coming at this from a place of expertise in technology and you want to go deeper, or if it's just overwhelming, just take a moment and breathe. I think just the fact of you being here, showing your effort, showing your commitment will certainly translate to your students. So I'm hoping today give you some framework and some tips and tricks on how you can more efficiently reach your students. But first, before I get into the technology, a longtime friend who I believe is on the call, Rob Friedolf, mentioned early on to me, and I agree wholeheartedly, that technology does not replace academic advising. It is simply the means through which you advise. And so let's keep that in mind as we navigate some of this stuff today. So thank you all, appreciate it. So like my mentor, so if you've ever had any presentation from Jenny, you know she always starts with acknowledgements, and need to take a moment to acknowledge my family. I'm coming to you right now from my guest room basement because upstairs, my wonderful wife, Mandy, is with our 3 children. So if you happen to hear some stomping around or some laughing or maybe a meltdown, you can understand where that's coming from. And so I would not be able to do anything without them, and especially my wife's support. But I think it's important to let people in and show our personal side. You know, it's okay if you're connecting with your students and your dog barks, or if the doorbell rings, or one of your children comes up to you that instant because they need a glass of water, like my daughter did yesterday during an advising appointment. It's okay. I mean, our students are people too, they get it. And so I absolutely love my family. My oldest right there in the middle, Charlotte, she just turned 5 last week. Sadie in the top left, she turned 2 this past August, so she's about 2.5. And then Milo, our newest addition in the top right, he turned 1 right before Christmas. So, and then of course the greater appreciative team. So many of my ideas, so many things I do, this team is so incredible. I learn something new from them on a daily basis. And so if you've ever had the chance to interact with any of them, please do not hesitate to reach out, ask for ideas. My experience, they're all very willing to share and help everyone. We're all trying to help students have a brighter future. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. Okay, so like I mentioned, breathe. I'm gonna pull on another colleague and another faculty member, Tyree Vance. He does an absolutely amazing talk on the concept of filling your cup. And I think this plays a huge precedent now more than ever. We're in uncertain times. We're advising from very unique locations, new challenges, and we just need to be cognizant of how are we filling our cup. You know, we're in a helping profession. We tend to give and give and give, and we think about ourselves last. But you can't do that. You need to take care of yourself. So keep in mind that self-care piece during this. Our schedules have certainly been rocked, and we're figuring out new schedules. And so figure out, what is your self-care? Is it exercise? Is it a brief walk? Is it being around your family, playing with your dogs, playing a board game? Whatever it is, just don't cut that out of your life. Take time to care for yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. We give to others from our overflow. That's how we're gonna make it. That's how we're gonna come together and be effective advisors. And then lastly, this care out loud piece. Like I said, you all being here today shows you care. And I know your students will see that as well. And so as you navigate taking your advising into a virtual environment, just be comfortable, be patient. Your students will as well. I can't tell you a number of appointments I've had where we started out on FaceTime or we started on Skype and there was some technology issue. It happens. I think it's just having a backup. What are you going to do if the technology fails? Usually my backup is a phone call, and my students know I will call them. And that's okay. The technology is never going to work 100% of the time. I have a degree in technology and it fails me. And so it's not the user, it's just simply the platforms we're working with. But just be comfortable, be patient, and students understand that. They're very supportive, they're very flexible. Like today, I'm coming to you from my guest bedroom. Like, I assume many of you are not taking that personal. We're just being comfortable and being supportive to help each other grow. Okay, so from another good colleague, academic advising is just critical. Student support services. We need to show students that there's someone in their corner, someone that cares about them, now more than ever. Students are just lost. They have so many questions. They don't know what they need to know. They don't know what questions to ask. And it's hard for institutions because they're still figuring this out. This is something we've never dealt with before. But we can still offer that helping hand, that open-ended support to let students know, hey, I'm here, I care, I want to support you. I'll tell you what I do know, but the university is still trying to figure out a lot right now. Just that simple effort will let students know you're in their corner. And so for those that have not been with us for a little while or are new to the concept, but appreciative advising, it's a collaborative intentional practice. We're trying to gain a deeper understanding of who our students are. We can't just operate off of course scheduling. That is not the future of academic advising. We are that support person. We can only be effective as much as we can learn about our students. So it's perfectly acceptable and encouraged. Take time to get to know your students. What are their interests? What are their goals? What are they trying to do? Because the more we know them, the better we can serve them. And so this starts always a question: what do students want? What do they want from their advisor, from their instructor? What do they want from someone at the institution? It doesn't matter what that title is, they're all wanting the same thing. And my answer, and you can see from the studies below, this is a very longitudinal study, it's all coming to the same thing. They want someone that cares. They want someone that knows their name, knows who they are, knows who they operate. They don't want to just be a number. And at our larger institutions, that's an even bigger challenge for you, because before they even get there, there's that assumption that I'm just another number. There's so many people here. And so through some of the efforts of appreciative advising and some of the technology we'll talk about today, there's very simple, easy ways to implement effective strategies so you can help establish that relationship. Regardless of what you say, you're showing investment in your students, and it's above and beyond in what many students would see. And so those phases, primarily today, it's going to be a lot on that disarm discover. There's certainly greater and bigger implications. The biggest challenge of a technology presentation, webinar, it's just the vast amount of material that you can cover. And so today I'm going to show you how to get those conversations going. And you can definitely correlate this into all 6 phases. But first and foremost is that appreciative mindset. I'm sure you've all heard this before. If we don't believe in the best intentions and we don't believe in the capabilities and potentials of our students, it's not going to come across as authentic. So please, you have to believe in this. You have to believe that they do care and they do want to succeed. So first in the disarm. I modified these tactics here. So this is the first thing, is establishing a good first impression. And we often talk about meeting our students in the lobby, going out, greeting them with a smile, an open handshake. That's a little bit different in the digital world. And so I've modified those a little bit to what we have control over and what we don't have control over. Web presence, that's initially the best, and it's also the most difficult to navigate because usually we don't have that control. We don't have the ability to affect our web presence. Some of us do, and so this is a great opportunity to increase your web presence. But students are getting on the web and they're learning about us before they even come talk to us. And so even from scheduling an appointment, what does that look like for you? So with my staff this week, we sent out a message to all of our students to not call our phone line, just because we know it's going to be ringing off the hook, because traditionally speaking, our students would show up to schedule an appointment. So rather, all of our advising team, we created online scheduling system. So how our students can get on 365, 24/7 to schedule an appointment with us. Very simple, easy to use. Next, when you're incorporating the video component, what do your students see and what do you see? So trying to have a simple, pleasing background. Be cautious of, and when you're doing your web video, do your students see piles of paper? Do they see people coming and going? There's some struggles there with control and challenges, but we want to make a best effort possible so that they have a less distracting view. And so, but it's okay if things happen. And same thing with our students. If we do a video call with our students and all we see is the sun coming through and we can see a silhouette of them, it's perfectly okay to say, hey, I'd love to see you, but that sun's coming right through. Would you mind closing that blind or maybe just spinning your laptop a little bit? They'll be very receptive to that and understanding. It's just something we usually don't think about. You know, when we got on the web call today, I don't think many actually thought about, well, what's in my background? What are people going to see? And so it's just be calm with it, and everyone will be very supportive. And then move into that supporting tone. It's very easy, especially on phone appointments, to not have that good posture, that smile, that excitement. It will translate through. And so it's important to treat them as if they were right in front of you. That will translate whether you realize it or not. It might be subconsciously to them as well. So it's really important to take those steps. But like I said, just breathe, relax. You're showing your effort, you're showing your care, and your students will see that too. So into discover. So in the past, we've always given plenty of example discover questions about learning about their life. We have an an opportunity here. There's a lot going on in the world. Their lives are changing. And so here's some sample Discover questions that you could simply ask right away. There's an additional handout that's being provided that has several more of those questions. But simple questions like, how are you handling this? What have you learned about yourself in this process? Has anything stuck out to you that is important in your life you didn't really think about beforehand? How are you managing this transition? Or even probably the biggest concern, how are you making the transition from an in-person class to that online format? There's so many ways you can ask simple open-ended questions that will get a lot out of your students. And I strongly encourage you to use how and what questions. When you're using a why question, that can put the student in a defensive mindset. And so how can you use your questions in what and how? You can spend so much time learning a lot about your students with very few questions. Okay, so now we're going to transition to what the majority of this webinar is going to be on. Some of the most popular platforms that I've used and I've seen used. And my biggest advice, I don't expect you all to adopt all of these. That is not my expectation. My expectation is try out a couple of them. Figure out what works for you. If something really doesn't work and you're going to struggle with it, that's okay. There are plenty of other options to choose from. So don't feel confined or feel restricted, and just know that there are plenty of options for you to connect with your students virtually. But I don't want to dismiss that email. Email still has a role, and so we just want to be cognizant of how are we emailing our students. And so here's an example email that I typed up. Hi Dory, it was great to see you today. Don't forget to take your CP over to the AAC for review. It's really important you submit that to OMSTAR by Friday. What in the world did I just tell that student to do? We live in that world of acronyms, and it's confusing to students. You know, we have a whole new language in higher education. And so it's just some simple modifications. You can change this email to be much more effective and prevent subsequent emails of asking, what does that mean? Or even worse, them not sending you a reply email because they feel like they should know this information and they're too afraid to ask. So with some simple modifications, hi Dory, it's great to see you today. Don't forget to take your completion plan attached that we reviewed today over to the Academic Achievement Center on the second floor of the library for review. It's really important you submit that to the Office of Multicultural Student Access and Retention by this Friday. OMSTAR is located on Court Street next to Chipotle. You can see how that comes across very, very differently. And I understand that this email probably took more time, and it did, but I'm communicating much more effectively to my students, and I'm less likely to get multiple follow-up emails because they're confused about what directions I gave them. Okay, so now I'm going to shift into Microsoft Teams. For those that are on institutions that have Office 365, this is part of your package. And so you're more welcome to start using this. You have access. My team just got training on this about a month and a half ago. So very perfect timing for us. And what I'm providing today is just kind of an overview of it and some of the things my team has learned along the way. Through Teams, you can have one-on-one chats. You can have group chats. You can set up teams. And so your advising roster could essentially be a team. You can do audio, you can do text, and you can do video. And so this is kind of the basic screen for a chat feature. And so I'm going to go through what all of these little icons mean. And just don't worry, these slides, like Jenny said, will be provided afterwards, more as a directions and a reminder of what this stuff all looks like. So this chat icon is simply just a list of all of your historical chats. I have it hidden right now, so you can't see all my chats, primarily because of student privacy. For your teams, this is where you'll have several teams. I have 4 teams. So I have my advising team, my office team, our college's exception board team, and then our student workers. Down at the bottom, calendar. What's really cool about this calendar feature, it reads your Outlook calendar. And so I actually don't even access my Outlook calendar anymore. I access my calendar through Teams because I can see the full calendar and I can create meetings in Teams through the calendar feature that sets it up as a Teams meeting. And you'll see why that's so beneficial in just a moment. Up at the top, the primary 2 things is this little pencil and square icon. That's how you would start any chat. And then if you've already had a chat with someone else, you can actually just type within this search bar to find their name. And so there's a few different ways where you can get a new chat going. And then down at the bottom, this is where within the chat, so you're already in a chat with someone. Obviously right there, you can type to include your new message, but there's several icons down here at the bottom. First is a format text. So if you're looking to bold, underline, use some color, that sort of thing. The priority of the message. So if you're really trying to mark that something is really important. Attach a file. I absolutely love this. You can attach a file. So like that completion plan, I could attach it directly into the chat for one of my students, and it keeps a running log of all files we've shared with each other. So it's really great. It contains my communication with the student within one place. That way I'm not searching multiple emails. It's all confined in one specific area. The emoji or smiley face, for those that are not on the emoji level yet, some fun ways to just have some fun with your messages. It doesn't have to be all business, especially in times like this. We all could use a good laugh because it's very tough right now. And then what my team is really enjoying are GIFs. And if you're not familiar with GIFs, they're essentially, they look like photos, but they're short little video clips without any audio. My team loves to figure out ways to send GIFs as communication rather than text, and it does. It makes things more lighthearted and fun. And then if you want to put a little sticker in here, and it's very similar to the emoji, but it's just going to be like a sticker. And then when you're ready to send that message, just click that little arrow. All right, so now I mentioned that calendar feature. And so here you can see a screenshot of my calendar. It's after the workday because of student privacy, but you can see that's where my Outlook calendar would be. So if you're trying to create a new meeting, all you do is go to the calendar and then you click on the desired time. So you could click and drag, or just, if it's a half-hour appointment, you just click and it'll automatically default, or you can click the new meeting button in the top right. Then it'll bring you to the meeting info page. And this is exactly like Outlook or most calendar web applications, where you're gonna enter the meeting details. So the title of the meeting, the attendees that are gonna need to be there, the date and time, if you wanna have a message to whoever you're sending it to. And then when you click save, it will add it to your Outlook. And so I created a meeting with Jenny last night as an example. And so you can see it's at 7 p.m. There's a meeting between me and Jenny. And so when you're ready to start a meeting, all you do is come into the calendar. You would click on the actual meeting. The meeting info pulls up. And then all you have to do is click the join button in the top right. And then when the other person joins, the meeting starts much like our webinar did today. You have a video, audio, face-to-face conversation. And so now I'm going to give you just kind of a little demonstration and play with it. Fortunately, one of my advisors, Katie, she said she was willing to play along. And so we're going to message her and you can see a little bit of the functionality, what that looks like. Okay, so here's my direct message with Katie. And you can, like I said, my team loves GIFs. And so here's my message with Katie. See what she comes back with. Let's send her a GIF, excuse me. You can see there, Katie reacted it. She gave us a little laugh on that. And then she's sending us a little Lilo and Stitch GIF there. And so you can see how this can just be a fun way to interact with other people. And so like I said, here you can do that priority setting for how important it is. I have used this, as annoying as that may be, but if you put urgent on a message, they will get a notification every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. Use that sparingly, especially you supervisors. You do not want to be that annoying. But then there are some instances where we really do need that communication. And you can see a few other icons here that I didn't have. Those are some icons I added in there. What's nice about Microsoft, they have this whole app system where you can just add tons and tons of other apps that you can use in your messaging. And so I actually have the YouTube one on here where you can search YouTube videos and post something in there. It's a really fun and easy way to communicate with students. So it's been really great. I've really enjoyed it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to our presentation. Okay, so next I'll be moving over into GroupMe. I've been using GroupMe probably since early 2011. It's been around for a little while. I will say that from my experience, all students are familiar and knowledgeable about GroupMe. What I love personally about GroupMe is that it's available on every platform. You can use this on a desktop computer, you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on a smartphone, and it doesn't matter what brand of device you have, whether it's Apple or Windows or Android, it works on all of them. And so you can see there's an example of an active chat going on. Some of the pros I found it's very preferred among our Gen Z millennial population students. They've all, anytime I brought up, are you familiar with GroupMe or do you have GroupMe? It's almost like a laugh, like, well, yeah, I have GroupMe. I mean, it's almost commonplace now. It allows you to be very short and to the point because you should keep in the mindset that this is a text message environment. So texting language is acceptable. We should not be expecting full sentences that are grammatically correct. What I've found from most colleagues is they love you can turn off the notification feature so that when a student messages you at 2 in the morning, you don't get a notification about that. And so that can be beneficial. I don't find the notifications that distracting, but some people use it on their phone, some people use it on their laptop, both. But probably the biggest thing, your phone number is not accessible. I know a lot of people have concerns about their privacy with their phone number. You need a phone number to create a GroupMe, but it is not accessible by anyone. So no one, regardless of who they are, they cannot see your phone number from your profile. It is free and there's no limit on how many people can be in a group or how many people you can message. And just like Teams, it maintains that communication feed. So you can always scroll back and see what did we talk about. But just keep in mind that GroupMe is a third-party product. So not all students will use it or have access to it. It's not very ideal when you're trying to send out very detailed directions or specific. So email is not, I'm not saying no to email, it has its place, but just be mindful of with GroupMe, I would not send really long messages through here. And then this last piece with the university branding, I found some universities are strict on that. And so just connect with your communications office to find out if there's any processes or procedures you should follow with promoting a third-party product. And then also just be mindful of FERPA implications. You can create a group for your advisees, but just they should be aware they're joining a group text message. I often find students they are not scared or embarrassed whatsoever to share that they just failed a class in a group of 100 people, but we can't encourage that, and we certainly can't engage in that sort of conversation. With the data fees, you really don't have to worry about that because when you sign up for a GroupMe, you're acknowledging that statement right away. And so here's just an example email that I've sent to my students, just saying, here's GroupMe, here's what it is, here's what can I do for you. Here's a little screenshot of my advising group. Again, I can't show you this group just because of student privacy, but here's an example of a message that I sent out before we were all in virtual and remote locations where our college does a weekly tea with our students. And I was inviting them all to come to that. And so here's a chain of an email. And so I know you might be thinking, well, how do I get students to join this thing, right? So there's got to be a way for them to find me. So you create your group. So you can see my advising with Ben up there. And the first thing you'll do is click on that little arrow next to my name, brings you this menu. And so you can see lots of different options. You can see I have 71 students in my GroupMe. Bear in mind, with my role, I have a smaller advising load. I actually have 84 students that I advise. And so you can see a large number of my students actually use this. But then you click on that settings down at the bottom. First, you want to turn on enable group sharing. That's the little blue check mark in the lower right. And then there'll be that hyperlink in the bottom. You'll copy that link, and that's what you give people. You send that through email, when they come to your office, however you want to get this out there, for them to click on this link. They'll get information about you're requesting to join, advising with Ben, and they click join, and that's it. It's very simple. So again, Katie graciously agreed to play with us on GroupMe. And so let's jump over there and I'll show you that one a little bit. Okay, so here's Katie and me again. You can see we've got more GIFs going. Let's see what she has to say. Well, she read that already. That was a fast read. So with this one, you have a little bit less functionality with Teams, but you can still do a lot of the similar functions. And so while Katie, she's probably looking for a GIF, so we're going to do that too. You click this little plus in the lower right. You can create an event, do a media search, share photos and documents. Media search is where you'll find those GIFs. Oh, cute little dog. Let's do the dog. She already replied. So Katie said, yay. Hope everyone is enjoying the webinar. Thanks, Katie. So there's some fun ways where you can communicate, but another thing that's unique about GroupMe, you can come in here to create an event. And so if you're having some sort of event, or you're gonna have, one thing I've started trying out is open advising or drop-in advising, where I just open up a Skype or a Teams or just any sort of video platform, and I just leave it open. And students can just pop in, pop out whenever they want. I had a couple of students that popped in for a good hour, hour and a half, because they just wanted to hear what other people were asking. They didn't know what questions they should be asking. And so here's a good way where you can set up an event and you can kind of gauge an interest, like when would be a good time, that sort of thing. And so it's a really good way to figure out when would be good, because we might be thinking, oh, 1 o'clock's great, but in times we're in now, I know plenty of our students that are getting up at 1 p.m. And so we just need to be mindful that we have very different schedules from our students. Okay. So let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so this next one, iMessage and FaceTime. I'm sure many of you are cringing right away. But what I'm going to show you here, there's a way where you can set up for your caller ID to not be your personal phone number. You can set up your caller ID as your university email. I do this often with students. Probably my second most requested way to connect virtually is through FaceTime. It looks like Teams is by far the most, probably then by FaceTime and then Skype. And then even with iMessage, it's a great way to connect with students very fast on the go. So first, to set this up, so I want to show you, I'm going to give you the directions on how to set up your caller ID to be your university email. So first, you'll click on that settings. Sorry if my home screen is distracting to any of you, but that's my iPhone home screen. And this would be the same on an iPad. Then you go into your settings. You'll want to click on your name up in the top right. Then on this screen, you want to click on the name, phone numbers, email. She'll bring you to this screen. And then you can see the second option there. It says reachable at, and you can see all three of mine. It's for you, most likely, it's probably just going to be your email that you set up for your Apple ID, and then your phone number through your wireless provider. And so your university email is not listed there. And so I'm going to show you what that would look like, how you would do that. So first you would click edit, and then you can see where it brings up those options. Your phone number can be disappeared because that's connected to your wireless provider, but there's a link there right below. It says add email or phone number. And so you'd simply just type in your university email. Now what you need to do is you need to go back into your messages or your FaceTime app, and you'll want to have messages created from that email address as opposed to your phone number. So for this, I'm going to just do the messages example. Bring you to this screen. And let me explain, I should have mentioned this. To get to that screen there with messages, you go all the way back to the main settings window where we initially started, and you scroll down, and that's where you'll see messages and FaceTime. So this is in the messages once you tap that, and then you see the second option there. It says send and receive. You want to click that, and then it'll bring you up all these options. And so you can see there's your Apple ID, and then it says how do you want to receive messages from? So people could message any of those three to get your messages. And then the last one, start new conversations from, and then that's where I'm choosing my university email. And so when I'm sending a brand new message to anyone, doesn't necessarily mean students, but to anyone, it'll come from forshie@ohio.edu. So let me show you a little bit of what this looks like on the desktop form. And we're going back to Katie again with our GIF conversation. It's a really fun one. I can't stress, if you're not playing with GIFs yet, you've got to get in there. And I know many might be concerned about if you don't have Apple platforms, or not all students have Apple. You can see there that for Katie, it's in green, and that's because she does not have Apple. And so she's connecting with me via Android, and it still works. So my caller ID that came across to her was forshie@ohio.edu. And then there is an emoji feature on here as well. And there's plenty. I mean, they are nonstop adding these all the time. So there's plenty of options on there. Knowing Katie, she's likely looking up another GIF. And if you're looking for a way to incorporate GIFs into iMessage, the best way is actually to go to a GIF website. Giphy tends to be the best one I've found, where you find a GIF and you just right click on it and copy, and then you can paste it right in. There she goes. Okay, so we'll go back here. All right, and then this next one I'm going to be moving into is Zoom. Zoom has a lot of different features, but just be aware that there's a free version and then there's the paid version. For the free version, which is what I use, you're limited to 40 minutes and a max of 3 additional people. So you can have you and 3 other people in a chat. And so that's some of the limitations with it. I have yet to run across any issues with that at all. The only time I've ever needed the full paid account, which my college has 1 paid account, is when we're doing a large faculty or staff meeting where we have multiple people. But for students, I've never needed more than what the free version has to offer. So now I'm going to show you how to create and start a Zoom meeting. So first you'll want to click on that little schedule button. Then you're going to enter your meeting details just like you would in Outlook. So I've got the appointment there. I've got my little 5-year-old Charlotte. She's getting her first advising appointment. That's going to be on March 19th at 11 a.m. And then you can see that little pop-up box. That's what I messaged you about or said to you about the free version. So it's at 40 minutes, 3 or more, and limits it to the 3 people. Then scrolling down further, you can see you can password protect a meeting. And I've found our legal team absolutely loves that. That's a way to ensure confidentiality. And so you can give specific meeting numbers and you can choose those numbers. You can type whatever you want to your students. So they would have to enter that password to join that meeting. So it's a really great way to help with purpose standards. And then all the way down at the bottom, and this is most important for you. And so you can see at the bottom, it's a little cutoff where it says calendar. You want to make sure you choose the calendar that your institution uses. So I know we have some Google institutions out there, we have some Outlook institutions. You'll want to make sure you choose the one that is for you, not necessarily your students, because this is how you're going to invite people. And so just click on the one. So I have Outlook at our institution. Then you click schedule, and then it goes over to my Outlook and pulls up a meeting just like we would normally schedule a meeting with someone. And it has all the details in there. I didn't type any of that. And so all you want to do is up in the top, you'll want to click invite and choose that person. Now, Charlotte doesn't have an email yet, so I can't invite her, but that's where you would invite that person to the meeting and it would show up on their calendar as well. And then at the time of the appointment, you'd simply come back to your calendar, open this screen back up, and you can see the hyperlink there in the middle where it says join Zoom meeting. That's one way to join that meeting. I'll show you another way in just a moment. So here, this is back to that home screen. So you've already got the appointment scheduled, you're ready to go. Now it's time to meet. You're ready to have that virtual meeting with your student. So first you're going to click on meetings. It's up in the very top. And then you can see upcoming meetings. So I only have the one scheduled for this week. And so all I would do is click on start and it would open right up. And so there's two ways to get your meeting started. One through the app, through the software, through Zoom. That's what this is. The other way is on your Outlook calendar. You would just open up the meeting, click on the link, and then that link will automatically open the Zoom software and get that meeting up and running for you. And so we discovered actually I cannot do a demonstration with it, primarily because we're on Zoom right now for this webinar. So I'm sorry, I'm not able to do a demonstration for that. Okay, so that's my kind of overview of some very simple, effective ways to reach out to your students. They tend to be the most popular. There are others. Skype is another one I use, but I'm seeing it being used less and less by students. So for just a moment, I'm going to talk about the opportunity we have with social media before we get into some other things. And so just some statistics I think kind of speak for themselves. So if we look back in 2005, only 12% of 18 to 29-year-olds were using social media. Compare that to 2015, we're up to 90%. And what the Pew Research Center uses to say that there's usage, it's utilization of at least one social media platform. And then I know many are thinking, well, that's just for a young kid thing. There's not many olders using that. Well, here's some data, again, from Pew from 2018, where they surveyed US adults aged 30 to 49. And you can see there's some that are less popular than others, but there is still a lot of people using various forms of social media. So just don't discount the power of social media. You do not have to be a social media wizard to be able to engage with your students effectively. I'll share my social media in just a moment. Probably Instagram is the most way I can make that case. You don't see me posting a whole lot in Instagram, but I am interacting with my students. When they're celebrating their successes, I'm doing a little like on there. When they get that first job offer, or like last week, one of my former students is getting married and she just got engaged. There's still ways to show your support and show you care with just a simple little tap. You don't have to be posting every day. You don't have to be posting groundbreaking stuff. You can still show you care with some very simple effort. Here's just a little infographic, and you'll have access to this because I know many are saying, well, there's just so many social media platforms. Which one do I use? I'm not recommending get on every single one of them. If you're on them already, that's great. But if this is new to you, just pick one or two. Try something out. See what works for you. You don't have to be on everything, but it's important to know what are the differences of all of them. And so here's just some rough ideas of how they're all slightly different from each other. And I know probably with all of the technology we've talked about, privacy is probably the biggest concern of most people. And so as a reminder for us on the student support side of things, we're mainly concerned with our FERPA, being cognizant of in private with our students' records. And so with social media, I strongly encourage you to connect with your legal teams. I found different answers at different institutions. What I found to be the most consistent is that if you're following any of your students and you see your students do something that's kind of like that gray area, not sure, you have an expectation to act. I've found that to be true with most. I have not had to act ever. It's never been an issue. I've been connecting with students on social media for over 10 years now, and I've never had an issue with that. But definitely bring your legal team into this. With texting, just be aware of the financial implications. What I love about GroupMe, it covers that financial disclaimer, so you don't have to worry about that. With Teams, it's already part of your university package if you're an Office 365 institution. So really the biggest concern is if you do group text messages or groups in Teams, just be aware other students can see what you're typing. And so just don't divulge something about a student in there, versus if a student comes out and says, like I've had a student say, hey, Ben, I just got an F in econ. What do I do now? My back of my mind, you just told 100 people you failed that class. I'm not going to reply directly to that group. I'm going to send a message. Hey, Colin, I saw your message. I'm so sorry. How are you handling this? And so I start working with him individually. I don't want to go down. I don't want to ask a question that he's not ready to answer in front of a group of people. And then with any technology presentation whatsoever, I always mention Moore's Law. For those that aren't familiar, it's a computer processing term from the 1970s that talks about the abilities of technology essentially doubling every 2 years. And so I don't want you to walk away from the webinar today thinking, great, I've got everything neatly packaged, I don't have to learn anymore. This is what I know today. I would not have been able to present on Teams 2 months ago. And so it's always changing. So it's really keeping in mind that methodology. How are you using this to be an extension of your advising, not replace your advising? And so just be mindful of that stuff is always going to change. And lastly, I always end with my favorite quote, be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody, from our friend Kid President. So thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna go through some resources, but I really appreciate it. I am very willing and excited if you wanna continue this conversation after the webinar. So please reach out to me. I'll have all my contact information. I don't care how you reach out to me, but let's keep going with this. I'd love to talk more. So first, we have several different ways where you can follow the office on social media through Twitter and Facebook. We have several different Facebook groups. There's the Appreciative Advisor, and then it's also Appreciative Administration for those that are in the administration roles or who are seeking to maybe pursue the administration roles. All are certainly welcome to join those. AppreciativeAdvising.net is our main website, loaded full of resources, training materials, courses, the Institute. Really encourage, there's just so much great information on there. And then if you would like to join our listserv and you haven't had the opportunity yet, feel free to just send us an email at oae@fau.edu. And then several books that have been released over the years. I've used all of these in a number of different forms. Again, with Jenny being the author of all, she's very, very willing to talk more deeply. I've reached out with her and said, well, what about this? And she's very flexible, willing, and excited to work more. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Jenny, learn more about how you can take this further. We have a journal. And so you all, I'm sure, are doing fascinating, just groundbreaking things. Please, please write about it. Others need to know what you're doing. Share that knowledge and that experience. We have two different ways where you can submit for publication for those that are more on the research side of it or those who are more on the practice side of things. So there's two different types of submissions you can do. Really encourage you to check that out. It's a journal that I will say practices what we preach. When you submit a piece for the journal, you're not gonna just get a no, sorry. You're gonna get some really good, solid feedback. The editors are so friendly, exceptionally appreciative, and they give you tips on how to make it a more well-rounded piece. So really encourage, if you haven't written for publication before, this is a great first place to try it out. So please consider doing that. We have several online courses, and now with those PD money, I'm sure everyone's looking for online ways to use those funds. And so we have two courses. We have the Appreciative Online course and the Appreciative Administration course. You can see those offerings that we do run them 3 times a year for each. And then in their certification piece, I have several of my staff going through the certification process right now. Getting that online course or the Summer Institute fulfills the educational component of the certification. And then you'll have some reflective pieces afterwards. And then of course, the Appreciative Advising Institute, where you get a 3-day on the ground, hands-on experience in large group settings, small group settings, where you get an opportunity to practice this in a safe and supportive environment. It's really it's honestly my favorite event of the year. It is by far the one thing I always want to do in my career is be at this institute. It means so much. I learn something every year. And then lastly, if you'd like to connect with me on social media, feel free. Facebook, you can find me on there. You'll primarily see a lot of posts about either happy birthday to my wife and kids or happy anniversary to my wife, but feel free to connect on there. Twitter, I primarily use from a career side of things. And so for the most part, you'll see me tweeting about amazing stuff my students are doing, supporting my students, or stuff that's happening in the advising profession and engaging through that platform. On Instagram, this is my advisor one, so it's advisor.ben, and so you can see lots of different things I've done with students. It's a good way if you're new to Instagram, where you can see how you can be effective and engage without posting daily, because I do not post daily on Instagram. And so lastly, everyone assumes that change happens at the top. It doesn't have to. It certainly does, but it doesn't have to. So start where you are. Everything is a ripple effect. You matter, you make a difference. Start trying these things out. People will take notice. So please don't hesitate and get involved. So thank you again so much. I'm here for any questions. My email is down at the bottom. That's my personal email, bforcia@gmail.com. And then I also have my cell phone number down there. So feel free, whatever is the best way for you to reach out to me, I'm available. So thank you so much.
Great, thanks so much, Ben. That was fantastic. I'm gonna turn it over to Brian right now and have him start to ask Ben some of the questions that we've gotten from the audience throughout the presentation. So Brian?
Yeah, so we've gotten some amazing questions, and we're gonna go through as many as we can. So one of them is, what recommendations do you have for setting expectations around available via chat and your expected response times for chat messages, such as like Teams or GroupMe? And this question is directed towards Ben.
Yeah, so I think it's something you set the groundwork right away. When you're introducing this as an option for your students, it's perfectly acceptable to put that out there. Like you saw in the very beginning, I have a 1-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And so one of the first things I say to my students, hey, you can reach me. There are plenty of ways where you can get a hold of me. However, if you ever message me between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m., you will not get a response. That is getting home from work, getting food on the table for my kids, getting them up for bath time. We're going to do story time, and then we're going to do bedtime, where I am just physically not touching my phone during those hours. And students have been very respectful of that. I've had plenty of students message me during that time, and the ones that have always said, oh, sorry, I know this is bath time, but I didn't want to forget this question. And that's fine. You set that initially in the beginning, they're respectful of that.
Awesome. I hope that answers your question, Christina. If you have any more, please make sure you send them out to us. Another question is, would students be able to call you back easily or text you, even if it's set up with an email?
Would somebody offer a little more explanation? I'm not sure I understand.
This is from Madeline Brooke Anderson. Madeline? Well, how about we circle back to that question in a minute? All right. Does Microsoft Teams video chat allow you to show your screen?
Yes, it does. You can share documents, you can share your screen. It operates much like Zoom.
Awesome. And then another one we have, could you talk more about the discover phase during the COVID-19 period? Yeah,
sure. So I think for me, it tends to blend a lot, disarm and discover, especially if you already have a pre-existing relationship with a student. And so, Brian, I'm going to take you. So, hey, Brian, it's so great to see you today. How are you doing? What's going on in your life?
You know, it's a really tough transition right now because all of my classes were in person and now they're all being switched to online. So it's that uncertainty that I'm currently feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure. I imagine that is probably quite stressful. How are things at home? Do you feel supported or how are things going?
Yeah, so at home, I'm feeling very supported. Both of my parents understand what's happening with my education in this transition, but the lack of technology that we have at our disposal is putting that uncertainty there.
I'm very pleased to hear that your parents are very supportive of that. That's so great. I'm glad they're there for you. And yeah, I can understand that technology. I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out right now is, when we were on campus, there was a control of technology and we were able to support our students, and now they're all over the place. And so you can kind of get where Brian and I are getting into a bit of a dialogue about his home life and how things are going for him. And I'm trying to figure out, is he equipped and able to be successful? Is there some gaps? Because we can't assume all students have a home. I have a few that are looking at homeless because the institution closed residence halls. We can't assume our students have more than one parent, let alone any parents or invested parents. And so there's a lot that could be going on in our students' lives. And so there's some very surface level questions you can ask that if you've spent the time to establish that relationship and there's some trust there, Brian might open up to me and I can gain an understanding. Does Brian have anyone in his corner? If he doesn't, I'm going to be there for him. But like I said in the very beginning, we need to be doing our due diligence to make sure our cup is full. We cannot just give. We got to take care of ourselves too.
Awesome. Thank you. So going back to the previous question, would students be able to call you back easily or text you? We got some clarification. If we set up with our personal phones and call them, could students then hit call back and have easy access to keep calling?
They could, yeah. It's just like, especially on the iMessages or FaceTime, it's a standard text message or phone call. I've been texting and FaceTiming students for over a decade now. I have yet to have anyone abuse it, and I understand that that's not going to be all students. If it does become problematic, there's definitely things you need to have a conversation with the student about setting some boundaries. But that's going to be true of any platform. It'd be the same if a student emails you, and we all get these. I know we do. Student emails us on Sunday, 10 p.m., and then it's 9 a.m. on Monday. They're sending another email saying, "Hey, you didn't respond to my email." Like, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter what the platform is.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Ben, earlier in your presentation, you talked about changing your contact information on your iPhone to display like your work email on platforms such as GroupMe, right?
Yeah.
Is that also a viable option for people with Androids?
I am not 100% familiar with the Android platform, unfortunately. I can certainly connect people with colleagues that are more familiar with that. And so if you feel free to send me an email, and I'll be happy to facilitate those conversations.
Awesome. And then just for clarification for all of our participants, Ben shared his contact information, and then you will be receiving more information following this that will also display his contact information. So this question is coming from, we have done online advising before via Blackboard Collaborate, but find it more focuses on scheduling and maybe not as appreciative. Any ideas for making our online presence more personal and appreciative?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true whether it's online or in person. Sometimes students are coming into our offices and it's usually something to the effect of, "Hey, I'm sorry, I know you're really busy. I just have this question. Can you tell me blah, blah, blah." They almost get all that out there without breathing, that they just go right into that business. And I think where we can bring in Appreciative, specifically Disarm Discover, is taking a moment to allow them to breathe. It's say, "Hey, thank you so much for coming in today. I am definitely going to answer all your questions. But tell me, how are you doing?" And so it's okay to pivot. And you have to read your students. If they have that high anxiety, sometimes you just need to give that answer. They're stressed to no other. Provide them the answer they're looking for, but take the time to talk. Typical advising appointments, you're getting 20, 30 minutes. There's plenty of time to build in some of that conversation. And so, yeah, I think that's going to happen where they're just going to get right into the business, but it's okay to shift.
So I want to be mindful that it is now 1 o'clock Eastern time, and I want to thank Ben for sharing this great content. I also want to thank all of you because I see in the group chat that people have been providing all kinds of excellent suggestions for how they have been interacting with students in this COVID-19 era. And I want to thank Brian for leading the question and answer session. And of course, I want to thank Amanda for making this happen on such short notice. Again, we've been recording this event. We're going to send the link out to this. We would also welcome any suggestions that you might have in terms of other topics that might be helpful right now for you. That we could provide that are related to appreciative advising. And then just to end, I want to give my email address and my phone number in case you need anything. We can help get you to proper sources. So my email address is bloomj, BLOOMJ @fau.edu, and my cell number is 217-766-4212. And with that, we'll wrap it up, and we will also be sending you the resources that have been in the group chat, as well as Ben's slides, in addition to today's recording. So everyone, please stay safe, please take good care of yourself, and know that we care and we're here to support you any way that we possibly can. Take care.